red light. It is 6 p.m. I will call to order the special meeting of the Indianola City Council. It is October 29th, 2020. Please join me in rising for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Jackie, will you please call the roll?
Councilmember Hewlin. Here. Parker.
Present.
Kling.
Here.
Schroeder. Present. Marchant.
Present.
Southall.
Here and really excited.
Wow.
The first item of business this evening is the open forum or public comment section. Is there anyone who is here to speak for the open forum? "30 seconds of awkward silence. No one wants to fill it. All right, we will then move into the consent agenda, which includes two items: to approve the agenda and a renewal.
Move to approve. Second.
Is there any discussion on the consent agenda? Jackie, please.
Councilmember Schroeder. Aye. Marchant.
Aye.
Hewlin. Aye. Parker.
Aye.
Kling.
Aye.
Southall.
Aye. We have no old business. We'll move right into new business, which is very excitingly the appointment of mayor. And first, we need to receive and file the applicants for the mayor.
Motion to receive and file the applications.
Second.
Any discussion? Jackie?
Councilmember Hewlin. Aye. Parker.
Aye.
Kling.
Aye.
Schroeder. Aye. Marchant.
Aye.
Southall.
Aye. At this time, I'll have Doug Fulton give us an overview about how the process will work this evening, and then we will hear from the applicants in the order in which their applications were received.
Madam Mayor Pro Tem, council members, Douglas Fulton, City Attorney, in working with staff, getting ready for tonight, thought it might be a good idea for both the council and also for just the public, kind of see where we are, what got us here, and what we need to do tonight. Per the Iowa Code, Chapter 372.13.2, when there's a vacancy in an elective office, that vacancy shall be filled at the council's option by one of the following procedures: city council appointment or special election. September 29th, you all made the decision to direct staff to prepare necessary items for council appointment, including an application and process for interested residents. That was done. The appointment is to complete the current term of mayor, which ends December 31st, 2021. So there are 15 months roughly remaining on that term. Also pursuant to council direction, an application process was established and opened on the city's website at 6:30 p.m. on October 5th, 2020. The application process remained open, again, per council recommendation, until October 21st, 2020. At close of the process, 5 residents had submitted applications for consideration. Immediately following that close of the deadline, all applications were forwarded to the city council, local media, and included in the October 29th, 2020 city council agenda packet that was published on October 21st, 2020. So everyone should have copies of all of that. Of the 5 applicants on October 23rd, 2020, one applicant, Mr. Byron McCone, notified city staff that he was withdrawing his application. So we have 4 applicants for mayor at this point in time. Following presentations and any questions and answers with the applicants, the council will need to take action and vote on an appointment. In kind of kicking this around with city manager and other staff, we're trying to figure out what a good way to do that would be, given the fact that you've got multiple candidates. There are 6 of you. And fortunately, Jackie trumps us all, and she researched what had been done in the past, back in 2010, I think, when there was an opening on council. And what was done then, which seems like not a bad procedure, was a 2-step process. In the first round, city council is asked to narrow the applicants from 4 to 2 using a handout that will be provided to you. If that method is utilized, council members would be asked to cross out 2 names. Those would be names that would not go on to the second phase, leaving 2 names of 2 applicants that each councilman desires to proceed to the next round. So you vote for 2 out of 4. The handouts will be submitted, or I will come around and collect those from you, and then the assistant city clerk and I will tally those votes and let you know who the top 2 are. Then the second round, after the 2 remaining applicants are announced, you'll be asked to narrow it down to 1 applicant. You can use the same narrowing process as we did before. Now you can do whatever you want as a council. We just suggested this because it's, I think that, talking with Councilman Marchant, when he went through the process, he wasn't selected back in 2010, but he felt like it was a fair process. And so trying to give as much transparency and fairness as we can. So hopefully then with those 2 people, we'll have a majority vote. That majority vote would then be your selection for mayor. And then you would move on down the in process of approving the applicant. This is the format of what you'll be given. It's nice and big. So as I said, rather than circle the person you want, if you would cross out 2 people that don't make your cut, we will then tabulate them. If we somehow come up with, and we don't have a clear majority, we'll have to think of something to do. But I think this will get us where we need. So any questions, suggestions?
At Jackie's place at your spot at the dais, a folder that has these forms. And then we have the manila folders for you, so you can use that to make your note and put it in there and then pass it around.
And I don't know what the council's preference is, whether you put your name on it or not. I think it's not a bad idea if you do put your name on it so we know who did what. You don't have to do that because the ultimate act for open meetings would be approval of the appointment. But all we're going to do is announce the tabulation, Jackie and I. And so, but those will be available as council records. So.
And upon the first round and the announcement of the tabulation, then we would just proceed into the second round. There would not be an additional round of presentations from the remaining applicants.
Correct.
Or anything like that.
Correct. I think you've already, or we will have already done your questions and answers for those applicants. So, any further questions?
No. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm writing my name on
No.
two. Okay. Well, in that case, without further ado, the first person whose application was received would be Daryl McDonald. Daryl, if you please step toward the podium. And we have no Daryl.
Just for council's information, prior to this meeting, at the close of the application deadline, so October 21st, all applicants were provided a letter and an invitation to meet with us to go through any key projects. We had one scheduled with with Daryl, and he did indicate to me that he had a family emergency on Monday. And I had some follow-up asking if he wanted to reschedule that appointment. I have not heard from him, and I know that the clerk's office hasn't heard from him, so I don't know. Staff would recommend just proceeding to the next one, and if and when he shows up, then just handle it.
Okay. But he's not obviously withdrawn because he did not withdraw.
We did not receive any
Okay,
notification,
excellent.
correct?
All right, so then that brings us to Michelle Fetterstein.
Hello.
Good evening.
Have you all figured out how I fit 31 years of activity into 1.5 years of living in Hanover? We lived all over the place, and when we moved back to this area, we moved 8 miles north of town. We had a Carlisle address and a Des Moines phone number. But the best two things of it was we were in Warren County and the Indianola School District. And Indianola is where we wanted our kids to go to school. So in July of 2019, we have moved to town. Leaders realize that changes might come gradually or unexpectedly. Trying new projects or making difficult decisions for a board, a company, a city, or a school can be bumpy, but it isn't always. So here's an example of that. In 91 to 93, I worked with Mr. Bob Newsom, who was the junior high principal, and we created a chance for any student, 7th to 9th grade, that wanted to be a cheerleader to do it without tryouts. I had calls from parents that were concerned, but we did it and it worked great. And I'm still in touch with some of those girls that had a dream come true, that they may not have had the nerve or been chosen, to do that. So I'm still in touch with them. They're women now with children or families and various careers. With the help from the county and the city and volunteers, my family and I created the New Year's Eve event, which was a safe event with a mirror ball, ice sculptures, and various ways to entertain safely. We were told it couldn't be done because we only had 2 weeks, but we did it, and we did it 14 more years. With everything I've done in Indianola, I've done my best to include the county and the city. I love being a business person in Indianola. A few years before I purchased my building, Mary Geiger had formed a group called the Downtown Development Group. And that was for any business on the square or 2 blocks off to get together once a month and, discuss what they do and maybe to combine sales. As a business owner, I joined in, and I eventually took over some of the facilitating from Steve Pfeiffer and included people to come and educate us on things like blogging and Permar security and young professionals. The Fetters and Steen families have been involved in Indianola for many years in many ways: education, athletics, civic involvement. My grandpa was a justice of the peace and then died in office as mayor in the mid-60s. And we know Indianola is a much different city than it was in the 60s, but that was also a very tense time. So he had a passion for helping Indianola thrive, as do I. Our elementary schools, middle and high schools send well-equipped young people into the world when they complete the grades. To my knowledge, none of them are left behind if they struggle. The Learning Center, I was able to have a part in that. It's no longer available, but it shows that people in Indianola care, and they want students to succeed. And I also helped found the Christian school, which now is Victory Christian Academy. I would be honored to sit in the office of mayor. We can get along because decisions are made by voting. If a vote is right or wrong, it will be known eventually. There's a difference between unanimous agreement and unanimous support. We may not always agree, but once there's a vote that's passed, the support should be total, and that should happen. Our family motto is "You've got to try." Many ball games or competitions that my kids were involved in were won because their teams did not quit. They continued to try to the end. And from the decisions we're seeing come to life in Indianola and Warren County, we at this point must try them. I'll help that happen. This city is being recognized, obvious from the awards that have been given. Being proactive, having a vision has been paying off. We've witnessed what happens when, problems are shelved for too long. Indianola is known for high quality education, thriving business economy, and enriching amenities while still keeping a small town character. It means that we care and that we see everyone as valuable. I'll close with the statement that has stuck with me for several years. When I was involved helping a group develop a city motto, Mayor Jerry Kelly made the statement that Indianola should be known as a city where the answer isn't always no. I want to help this city where the answer can usually be yes, and a city where we will always try. Thank you for considering me.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, next we shall have a presentation from Pamela Pepper.
Hello, my name is Pam Pepper, and I respectfully ask for your support as the next mayor of Indianola. As you may know, I served Indianola City Council as the at-large member for 7 years. Before that, I served 12 years on the city's Planning and Zoning Commission. Because of my experience, I understand how city government works. Indianola is a wonderful community to live and raise a family. This is why we moved here 23 years ago. We are surrounded by strong schools, vibrant arts and culture programs, safe parks, healthy living opportunities, and of course, the beautiful balloons. I believe Indianola is in a very favorable spot right now. Years of hard work is starting to pay off. Indianola is being recognized as a great city to live, work, and play. As mayor, I want to continue to advocate for that. We have so much untapped potential as a city, and it's time we come together in the best interest of our citizens to have a unified, positive, and productive local government. Now is a great opportunity for our next mayor to demonstrate his or her leadership skills and ability to bring people together. I want to be that person. I will work with our citizens, listen to them, and openly discuss the issues facing Indianola as we move forward. By nature, I'm a pretty positive person, a hard worker, and someone who likes to get things done. The award-winning new comp plan, the feedback from the public survey, the facilities assessment, the complete road condition report, the stormwater assessment, the new water resource recovery facility, the streetscape project, the strategic budgeting process, the AA2 Moody rating are all signs of a strong city and a committed council. If appointed, I would like to work closely with council members to continue to build on the strong foundation for this city. I also want to support our city staff who go above and beyond the call of duty and dedicate endless hours for the improvement of our city. I want to partner with Simpson College and the Indianola Community Schools. I want to advocate for the Square and all area businesses, the Des Moines Metro Opera, and even the Warren County Fair. And of course, our citizens play an integral role. I want us to find ways to market our city, our accomplishments, and our citizens, not only in the metro, but also regionally and statewide. This is how we will grow and prosper. I understand the role and responsibilities of the mayoral position. I would not only be the person who leads council meetings, sign legislation, hopefully not declare a state of emergency, but more importantly, I want to be a strong ambassador or cheerleader, for that matter, for this great city. Together, we can continue to build a stronger community that benefits families, youth, and seniors. It is our duty to collectively leave this city better than the way we found it. I hope we have the chance to work together. Thank you for this opportunity, and I wish you the continued best.
Thank you. Thank you, Pam.
And that brings us to Randy Pickham.
So I was asked last night why I wanted to be mayor. And I took a few minutes to think about that before I responded right away. And I thought about my children. I have 7, and we've lived here for a little over 15 years. And they went through the Indianola school districts. All graduated. Some of them were in your class. And it has been a wonderful community for me to raise my children in. They've had outstanding opportunities and have been able to go on. They've gone to college, they've graduated, they've moved back to this area. They now own homes around the area. They have their children. And I want that same environment that my children had. I want my grandchildren to be able to experience the same thing. I want my children to be able to experience that as adults. I want them to be able to have what they had growing up. And so I took all of that into account on why I wanted to be the mayor. I want to be able to give back. That's basically what it boils down to. It has been a wonderful community for my home, for my family, and I want that to continue. And I want to be able to provide my experience and some of the things that I've had the opportunity and be able to help influence and make this a great community, to help it continue to grow. I have grown up in a small town. As I mentioned, I moved here about 15 years ago and have been with a variety of different companies over the course of my career. With this, I've never held public office. I've been involved politically. I've been in part of the caucuses and have moved on, never made it to the state level of the caucus, but have gone to several of the different levels and been involved with politics. This is my first foray into what would be the limelight of political service. My degree is in communications. With that, I have had the opportunity to speak many times over the years, too many that I can't even count. I probably started back as a kid. I remember in my high school graduation that they told me 15 minutes before the graduation ceremony started, they said, you do know you're conducting, right? And it's like, oh, no, I didn't. So I got to ad lib. And that's progressed, that I was able to learn through the education, to be able to attend a lot of different classes, learn from a lot of different professionals. That continued in my career. I have worked in training. I've conducted meetings with an entire room full of CIOs as they debated different things and trying to keep them all on task and keep them moving forward. That has culminated with the experience that I have as a project manager. As a project manager, I am really a meeting facilitator. I come in and I am there to help people get what they want done. A lot of the times they don't really know what it is that they want. They have a vague vision. As a project manager, I've helped people define what their vision is, help them clarify it, help them determine what their goals, wants, and needs are, and then help keep them on task to be able to obtain their goals. I'm not defining their goals. Sometimes I'll give some opinions about it, but I'm there to help lead and to guide and to administrate, to give them the experience they need to be able to obtain the goals. With that, a lot of times, a lot of the projects I've been on, they've been very large projects, very long projects. Motivation tends to wane as the project continues. I'm there to keep people excited. I'm there to keep them motivated, keep them on task, and keep them focused. With all of that experience, I feel that it lends a lot to what the mayor role will be. You need somebody that can communicate with the community, somebody that can guide a meeting to keep things on track, keep things on task, keep them focused, to be able to facilitate sometimes when opinions get heated and discussion goes rampant, to be able to pull people back, to keep them on focused and realize, you know, we are all on the same thing. We all want the same ultimate goal. We might be looking at different ways to get there, but we're still trying to get the same thing. We're trying to improve the community and helping people to realize what it is that they're looking for and how they want to obtain it. That's what I do. That's what I do every day. It's what I spent the entire day doing today. Numerous phone calls, numerous emails, things that weren't going on track or things that people had concerns with, having to deal with that and having to troubleshoot that, having to work with people to make certain that they're excited about the next project that they're working on, to keep them motivated so that in the end, we end up with success. I'm grateful for the opportunity to be able to apply for the mayor, and I hope to be able to have that opportunity to be able to serve. Thank you.
Thank you.
May we ask questions if the council desires?
Mhm.
Okay. Are there any of you who have questions for any of the applicants?
I have some. Go ahead. Go
Oh.
ahead. No. You already.
Mine's a two-part question. What do
Isn't
you-
everybody?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, yes, this
Everybody-
is to everybody.
Well, and just
Oh.
really quick, I'm sorry, Doug and I were just
Oh.
whispering this. This is one thing that we hadn't thought of with a Q&A is how do you determine the order?
Right.
So that's something we had not talked through or planned. So
Can we just follow the same order as the original?
that's,
pre-show?
it's entirely up to you, or if you want to rotate it
Just
back.
rotate it every question.
Ooh, that's a good idea. So start with Michelle.
You'll be the rotator counter.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I got it.
Yeah.
All right, two-part question.
Okay.
From Bob Kling.
What do you see as the number one issue that you feel needs addressed as mayor of Indianola? And what are your strengths that will help you successfully accomplish?
There's a lot of separation according to what's going on the square and, you know, that kind of thing, you know, just different things in the city. I think everyone's okay with like the sewer treatment and all that. It's got to be done, and it's all been done with foresight and vision. You guys know I had opinions of the square, but I also know, like I said, when there's a vote that passes, you might not agree with me, but you know, unanimous agreement is different than unanimous support. So I will support what you vote on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, then Pam Pepper.
The question is the most important issue, and how would you go about dealing with it? I think building a cohesive community and marketing our city are the top things that we need to work on. I think we need to work together with our citizens, with the council, with our businesses, with the community, with our schools. I think we have a great product here, and I think we just need to work together and talk about it a little bit more, celebrate a little bit more. And I think the way to do that is by meeting with people. I think this mayor position needs to be out talking to people in the community. If I were appointed as the mayor, I would have an open door. I want to be meeting with people. I want to answer questions. I also, when I was on council, always liked to explain things. And I think we just sometimes need to explain a little bit more our decisions, our reasons, just so people have an understanding. You get a lot of information, you have to process a lot of information, but they don't hear all of that or see all of that. And so sometimes they're not sure why you just all said yes or no, or were questioning a few things. So I think if we can just talk a little bit more and communicate a little bit better, that will be the way to go about it. Thanks.
Thank you. And Randy.
Not to sound like a copycat. I actually thought of the same thing before, so I would agree. I think Indianola is doing some great things, but some of the feedback that I hear from different people is it's, you know, well, why aren't we like some of our neighboring communities? And in reality, I think we're better than our neighboring communities. It's just that some of them have received a little bit more publicity. Their growth might be a little bit faster or something along these lines. I think Indianola is doing the right things in controlling their growth. I know I drive up to Ankeny and trying to get around town. I mean, okay, Ankeny has grown tremendously in size, but they have a lot of other issues that they're trying to deal with. And I think that we're controlling things here. With that, I think one of the real areas that we need to look at, Ryan's done a wonderful job of communicating and getting information out there. But I think that there's some things that we still can improve and help get out there a little bit more so that people understand, you know, most people don't know anything about our financial rating. They don't realize, you know, this is where Indianola is. And they don't realize how that affects them in their pocketbook. In that, you know, by doing this, we get better bond ratings. It's not going to cost us as much money. And there are a lot of other things that we're doing that are extremely well. It's been great seeing the publicity that's come out to say the new grants that we've been getting to be able to pay for road extensions, to be able to help facilitate with the water treatment plant and a few other facilities that we have, with the streetscape, some of the bonds that we've been getting. I think we just need to continue to be able to get this information out, to be able to communicate to the people, and we need to look at other avenues to be able to do that. More than just putting it out there on to the city's website or something like this. We need to be able to think in new directions to be able to how to get this information published. And there are a lot of ways that we can do it without a lot of cost or with no cost. That's the real thing. There's lots of ways to get publicity out there, but it's going to cost a lot of money. We don't want to do that. We want to be able to look at the ways that we can get this information out. You know, open door, a variety of different ways that we could do this. Those are the issues that I think see some of the top ones.
Thank you. And you're done with your questions? Yes.
Well, I'll let somebody else, I've got a whole list, but we'll let somebody else go if you want to do it that way.
All right, I'll help you cut your list down.
I can cut it down as we go, 'cause I know we overhead, so,
Yes, you can,
We're gonna rotate.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
right.
So
right.
Gwen's
So
question, and then we'll go
Pam will.
Pam,
Okay.
Randy, Michelle.
Okay,
And that's-
so first of all, I want to say thanks to each of the three of you for attending tonight and speaking. I know that even with seasoned speakers, it's still a nervous thing to do. And I just think we have three great candidates in the room here, or applicants, I should say applicants, not candidates. And that's really encouraging to me because as you've kind of all alluded to, there can be some contentious moments in this type of organization. So with that, I would like to know two things. How do you work with or approach things when others don't agree with you? And then kind of along the same lines, which can tie in together, is then how do you handle criticism?
All right. Okay.
How do I approach work when I don't agree or there isn't agreement? I think you need to keep talking it through. I think you got to work through the issues. I think you sometimes also have to agree to disagree. We might not agree on everything, and that's okay. But I believe that once we have made it a decision, we need to stand behind it 100% and move forward as a collective group that we support those ideas. How do I handle criticism? I think we all need to welcome criticism. Quite honestly, it's a road of continual learning for all of us. And so, sure, there's times that I know after I get done, I might not have performed at my best. So I am self-criticizing, but somebody else might also say, there's another way you could have approached it. I'm always a student of learning, of ways to improve myself, ways to interact with people. And sometimes we all do drop the ball sometimes, and we just have to say, I'm sorry. I'm quick to say I'm sorry when I'm wrong. And I hope that we can just move forward from that.
Okay, thanks. Thank you.
Randy, please.
Well, when somebody disagrees, I find that if I cry,
Not my classroom.
generally, I find that if somebody's disagreeing with me, they probably have a good reason for it. And I need to step back in forcing my opinion or my views on them. And I need to take a step back and say, okay, I need to listen. What is it that they're trying to convey that, I am certain they're frustrated with me just like I'm frustrated with them. So if I can take that time and I can step back, then either perhaps I'll change my opinion, or it allows me to find out what their issues are and to be able to address those independently. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. And if it doesn't, then ultimately it comes down to we need to make a decision and we need to move forward. Now, if it's just two people, that becomes a little more difficult. And eventually somebody will have to give in. And sometimes, that's the right thing to do at the right moment, because it may not be something that's critical. If it's something that's important, something we're standing up for and pushing through. But generally, it's just listening and working with them. For the second half, for the criticism, I'll fall back on the cry answer again. My default go-to. Criticism is just a way for me to be able to improve myself. It can be harsh. It can be difficult to accept. And initially the first response is, oh, that's not me. I know that's not me. But as I think about it, it's like, okay, yeah, that really is me. And I need to look at it and say, okay, what is it that I need to do? And how do I affect, how do I change my personality to be able to grow, to become something more, to be able to overcome whatever that deficiency is that I have, to be able to improve.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Michelle.
I've been on many boards through the years, and boards don't always agree on everything. When you're running a meeting, it's different than when you're, trying to give your opinion there. And I think I'm a very good facilitator as far as keeping everyone's cool. I was going to say I cry. I think, we're all kind of on the same page, but as far as being criticized, it is a growing process, and I don't normally take it to heart. I do try to figure out if I think they're right or not. They might not be right, in my opinion, and I just, use it to make me stronger. The mayor role, I don't see as being somebody to do anything other than be the face in the community and attend the meetings that are out there, go to the galas and the dinners. I would love to knock on doors, go to the businesses and just introduce myself and let them know that I'm supporting you. So did I answer that okay?
You did, thank you. Yes,
Thoroughly?
thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Yeah.
Who else has a question besides Bob? We know he's got a full list, but we will
I
let other
have a
people
list
ask.
too,
I just have one.
but I did eliminate.
Okay.
Tell me a little bit about you. Economic development means a lot of things to a lot of people, and it's a pretty vague word, and it's an important thing to our community. And so I always I have my view of what I think economic development means. So tell me about what do you think economic development means to you, and how will you prioritize that as mayor?
So for me, economic development, what that really comes down to is bringing income into the community. That can be done in a variety of different ways. For me, my preference is to bring business into the community and bring jobs here, bring money into the community with employees. People move in as they buy homes here, they live here, they shop here. A good example is the building out there of the Missouri facility that is going to bring people to this community. They're going to come in, they'll train here, they'll live here for a short period of time, they'll spend their money here, they'll go home, and they may find that they love the community and they move back here and become maybe employees at the same facility they took their training at, or they find employment within the community. So I think finding good industry to bring within to the community, that really helps develop the economic stability of the community. It brings the jobs, it brings the money, and it provides the resources for the community to grow. Now, one of the key indicators that I think that we need to look at for that is a sustained and controlled growth. That if we just allow rampant development and rampant growth, the city will not be able to maintain that increase, and it's just going to overwhelm the city. We can't build the infrastructures that needed. We can't build the materials. Can't hire the staffing. Different things like this. So, with all of that, it's looking at being able to keep that in a controlled atmosphere so that the city maintains its positive economic development.
Thank you. And then Michelle.
I think a lot of economic development is city growth, but it's also being wise with what we're already seeing, being careful with the businesses that we are allowing in or supporting, and getting grants, finding various ways to fund some of the projects that we have going on. And I thoroughly rely on our council to know what's best. And we have an attorney, and we have a city manager, and we have, people that are very conscious of how everything unfolds. So I think being wise with spending and being wise with how we get more money in.
Thank you. And Pam.
I think economic development is, of course, bringing business to the community, but I think it's so much more than that. I think it's building strong partnerships. I think it's building strong relationships. I think it is not only expansion, but it's growth. It's finding balance. It's providing support. It's listening. It is advocating, it is working together, and we've got to find the right fit. We've got to bring the right companies that will bring good balance to our community. But I also agree we have to continue to support our current businesses. They're important to who we are. So how will I prioritize this? Of course, it's at the top of my list, but there's other things that are also at the top of the list. So we'll have to work through that. And I think we can talk through that as a group and decide where do we need to spend our time focusing. Is it on that? Is it on marketing? And some of those go hand in hand. I very much see economic development and marketing of our city going together. With that, strong marketing will bring interest from builders, businesses, and bring in other community members.
Thank you. Next question. Of course you do, Bob. You have a list.
The Iowa Code spells out the roles and responsibilities of the mayor, and it spells out the roles and responsibilities of the city manager and of the council. I'm going to know, as mayor, how do you envision your working relationship with the city manager?
All right, and this go around, we'll start with Michelle.
Well, we've already met for a couple hours, learning about everything that the city has to offer and projects we have going on and questions. And I don't know, I felt like we had a good meeting and I learned a lot that day. And I feel like I can work with Ryan.
Thank you. And Pam?
I believe in a strong mayoral and city manager relationship. I think the two positions need to be on the same page, working together, handling issues, talking with council, talking to the citizens. So I look forward to that opportunity. I think it needs to be strategic. I think there needs to be times that who's the better person to maybe attend that meeting, answer that question. Ryan gets the pleasure of living that day in and day out. Mayor doesn't have as much day in and day out piece of that. But I think as you work together, you can decide what is the most helpful for the city.
Okay. And Randy?
So as I met with Ryan, and he kind of showed me all of his spreadsheets and different things that he had. It reminded me of what I do every single day.
Welcome to our world.
Yeah. Whip out that Gantt chart and let's take a look at it. So I speak his language. So from that experience, I understand where he's coming from and understand that his role is to be that project manager over the city's resources, and that he's looking forward to the future and putting together the plan, working with the city council to be able to view that. I view the role as the mayor as really being his spokesman, as well as for the city council, that we're all working together and each have independent roles for it to try and get that information out there, to be able to move the city forward and to collaborate, to be able to understand what's going on, and then to be able to vocalize that out to the community, to as individuals, to the community as a whole in different manners, to be able to share that information, to share that vision. And that's how I feel and see things working.
Thank you. Who has our next question?
I have a question.
Okay, Heather.
I'd like to know what the nominees' top 3 qualities they feel make them a good fit for the position.
Top 3 qualities that make you a good fit for the position. Okay, we will start this round with Pam.
Top 3 qualities. Listen. I think you need to listen a lot. There's a lot of good information being shared, and I think you need to process it, and I think you need to make decisions from that. Talk. I think you need to be able to talk would be my second one. You got to be able to communicate. We've got to keep sharing our message. We've got to be on the same page. We've got to be advocating for our great city. And that's my third one, is advocate. We've got to just continue to advocate for our citizens, for our businesses, for our schools. All of this makes us great. And if we work together, these things will happen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Randy, please.
I really need to go before her. I guess I look at my strongest areas are going to be the communication, from a public speaking and listening, being able to communicate. With that, The next one is being organized, to be able to manage schedules, to be able to manage agendas, to be able to handle a meeting, and to be able to keep things focused. And the third is passion. I will be in the position because I want to be in the position, because I want to see Indianola become something greater than what it is. It already is a wonderful community. I want to see it continue on that path, and I have a passion for it to be able to do that. So I would say those are my strongest.
Thank you.
And Michelle?
I've been told I'm a great listener. I consider myself a great friend, which kind of goes together. I've told my family that when I go on a trip, I'm on a plane, I've met new friends. You have to listen. You have to be able to not just listen, but hear what the people are saying and understand where their heart is and where their passion is and what they find is important. And if it's something that's concerning, you listen. But then you have to be able to communicate a means of having a solution. And if you don't have a solution, you tell them, I don't know, but I'll get back to you. And I would thoroughly agree with going, and I would probably be in Ryan's office every day. Where should I go today if I don't have something else that I've thought of first? And just, I don't know, I think I just have a desire to, for one thing, a lot of people in town know us, and that's not bragging, but from school and athletics and just living here for a long time. So I think listening and being able to calm people down or explain things and just being known. And if they don't know, we just go and introducing ourselves and, so I think those are the top three things.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next question.
I just have one more quick one. And you don't have, I know if we're covering some of the same ground, but we've talked about this is it's a 13-month, something like that, 14-month. It's a short term. You don't have the benefit of a 4-year term coming up ahead of you. How would you hit the ground running, so to speak, and deal with the learning curve? Because there is definitely a learning curve whenever we enter anything new.
All right, we begin this round with Randy.
You get to go first.
Well, I'd start right off the bat and spend time with Ryan, picking his brain. Being able to understand what the projects are in more depth, to be able to speak to them more clearly, to be able to understand the back end pieces and reasons why we're doing some of the things that we're doing. I know just in the short time, there were information that he brought up that, I knew about the projects, but I didn't realize some of the behind the scenes things. I would also become much more familiar with the forum of the city council, the way that we do things here, and the way the city council operates, as well as getting to know more people in the community and to be able to become even more involved than I have been in the past, and just hit it as quickly as I can. So.
Thank you. Thank you.
Michelle, please.
Well, like I said before, I would meet with Ryan on a very consistent basis and just, I don't know, would you repeat the question?
Oh, it's just how would you handle the learning curve? That you would, as you enter in a short time, you need
right. So what I don't know, I would learn. And what I said, if people ask me things that I don't know the answers, I would tell them that, and I would find the answers and get back to them. I think it's very important to follow through and make sure that if it's important to them to know, I should know it. So there is a lot I don't know, and I do want to learn it. So I would meet with Ryan constantly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, as I said before, I've been on council, so I have a little bit of an advantage of knowing what to expect. but that doesn't mean I would take that for granted. I would read everything. I ask questions when I don't understand. I ask questions sometimes when I know the answer, but I think the public needs to hear the answer. To hit the ground running, I've already been strategizing in my head and jotting down lots of people that I'd like to meet with. I think we need to, of course, spend some time with the city manager, of course, with the city attorney if there's anything we need to be caught up on. I want to meet with all of you individually and see what you think is working well, what's not working well, how can we improve, what needs to change. I want a message to the entire community in any way possible. I want to be available to the city staff. Of course, first of all, I want to thank them for all the great work that they have been doing, but I also want to say, tell us if you got a better way to do things, let's do it. So I think it's communication. I think it's meetings. And I think just asking questions is a great way to learn.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I have just one last one here because they've kind of been repeated.
I heard that, John.
Yes. What I
I will
consider,
hold it to him.
okay,
One
what
last.
I consider the most important role of the city manager is to be able to work with the city council. Even city council members may at times disagree with each other, but in the end, we take pride in being able to work together, each of us for the best interest of the city. No matter how any of us vote, we still remain friends and continue to work together. I don't speak for the council, but I am going to say we do look forward to doing the same with the new mayor. How do you think you can best make that happen?
Define it. Your question
Oh.
isn't quite clear.
Oh, okay.
It's
To be able-
rather long.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. How do you intend to really work with the city council to help move the city forward?
Okay,
Okay,
see, that's
let's put
much
that-
more
okay.
concise. Thank you. All right, Michelle.
Thanks for clearing that up.
Yeah.
Well, I would like to get to know everybody better. I know all of you in certain ways. Maybe it's just your family, but we have to get acquainted. We have to talk. I have to know what your heart is. And I don't know, I think getting together and meeting is probably the best thing. I don't know. I can't think of anything else. I just want to get acquainted and find out what your heart is.
Thank
Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle.
Yeah.
I think we need to learn from each other. And I think that the best way for us to move together is we need to talk. I want to meet with all of you, as I just said. I want to talk to you about how we can move the city forward. I want to hear your ideas. I want us to brainstorm. If we need to do a strategic planning session, let's do a strategic planning session. I learned from my time on council that many times I came into the meeting, kind of had my head around the idea, and it was one of my fellow council members that said something that I just hadn't thought of. And it gives you a chance to say, hadn't thought about it from that perspective. And it's from their background or their experience that helps us then, I think, have a chance to talk that through. And we would debate some of those things. And debate is not a negative thing. It gives you a chance to really talk through an issue, get all the sides, answer the questions so that you all can understand and make a decision. I also want to ask you what you could do and what are your strengths? What do you want to be doing? If you want to be serving on a certain committee, then of course, let's put you on that. If that's your strength and you want to play to that, let's play to that. Why would we fight that? So I think we need to just, again, talk through and get to know each other a little bit better and work together to find the best way to move our city forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Randy.
So I think I'd start by letting each of you buy me lunch. But really, that's really getting to know you is really the way to be able to work together. And a lot of that happens just by sitting here in the room, every other week for an hour or longer, and through the different meetings, the different interactions that we have. And it comes from listening and not trying to force my will upon you, but saying, hey, let's work together. Let's find what it is that we want, that we can learn and develop and grow to be able to play off each other's strengths, to be able to help build up each other's weaknesses, so that the entire committee becomes stronger as a whole. And it comes from working with each other. It comes from socializing As I came in today and I listened to the banter going around the room as you're talking with each other. That's what helps you get to know each other, to be able to find out, these are your likes, these are your dislikes. Your personality, it comes through, and you be able to work with that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And what is it, $3.60?
$2.99.
That's right. Coffee.
Oh, that's true. That's,
There's
yeah.
an issue there.
That's a question for Jen. Other questions? Okay, I have one, and I will say that maybe it won't be quite a fair question, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. Sort of the elephant in the room is that even though we have been elected by the city to represent the citizens and their interest in the city matters, there is of course rumor floating about of a special election. So I would like to know, despite what we might choose this evening, there could possibly be a special election. What would your intentions be if a special election is held? Would you run for the seat again? And then if you'd also like to add, if you are looking way down the road and would like to run in November, great, tell us about that. But what would your intentions be should a special election be held? So this round starts with Pam.
Yes, yes, yes. No, if there's a special election, yes, my intention would be to run. Yes, I'm interested in this. And I don't want to yet commit to the November piece of it yet. I just think, let's see how this goes. Let's see what's working. Let's see where the city has come in those 15 months. And I'm not a person that believes in lifetime appointments or lifetime tenure. So I think sometimes variety is good. And if it's time for a new mayor, there might be time for a new mayor in November. But yes, I have been through this once before. That's how I came onto city council. I was appointed, and then I had to immediately run when the YMCA came up for vote. So I understand what this is like.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Randy.
My answers would be very similar. So yes, I would, if an election is required, I would seek election. I believe that's like a March timeframe, what they're currently looking at. And then once again for next fall, assuming that everybody appreciated the service and that it was working for us, then I would most likely seek election again next fall to serve those 4 years.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Michelle.
Yes, I would take part in a special election. And again, I agree with them. It depends on how we fit together. If I was working as the person you wanted me to be and the city wanted me to be, that would determine moving on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle.
Are there further questions from the group?
I
thought you said one more.
Well,
last time.
just not a question. I just want to say that whoever does not get married tonight, we have some great candidates to put on that we want to ask for any special committees or anything, because I've been very impressed tonight. So.
I would add,
That's why I would say thank you very much for your
Yes,
time
thank
and
you
effort.
all.
I really appreciate it.
yeah, thank
This
you
has been
so
great.
much.
Last call? Except for Bob, that's done. All right. In that case, then we move forward with voting, correct? So we are to strike 2 and leave 2 that we want to move into the next round. And Doug will be collecting these from us. And you want them in the secrecy envelopes, just like last
That was
time?
Ryan's idea. So.
Okay. All right.
Just like,
We should all practice with
Very
our
nice, Bert.
I voted today.
And you just want us to pull the extras and only put one so
Yes.
that we've already per time, okay.
Oh. I didn't even look at the secrecy on that.
We should only only need to mark 2 rounds of ballots,
Yes, great. We have an
unless
extra.
there's time.
Yep, we have an extra unless there's a time.
Sign
Actually, we
it
have
up.
2 extras.
Now you may put on your magic show, Bob.
Please fill the awkward
I know, the awkward
You have the floor.
That's okay.
Yeah. Well, there's a council person.
Oh, no.
No.
Don't go there.
He's closest to you.
I know.
Don't worry.
She's got
She's got
the gavel,
Yeah, yeah.
the mallet.
You can tell them about your friend that is writes songs about
Oh,
You mean the singer-songwriter?
Yeah.
It's better if people can see the spelling.
Yeah, I know. It makes.
And the capital. Randy Beckham and Kim Pepper will be on the next round. Okay.
Okay.
Do we take the ones with our name on it?
Well, that'd be good. I really don't care.
That's not me. Now you gotta find it.
we have to all do this here.
Well, eventually.
They
they'll be
should have been in
clear.
order.
My time gets to Heather.
Yeah,
All
Still
right,
have
they
names.
are
Yeah.
Kling,
Okay,
Harper, Hewlin. So
Okay.
take the one on top.
Here we go.
They
There
are
we
now,
go.
I heard them.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There we go.
Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you.
You now have 2, so. I guess you
So we should
strike
automatically
3 boxes, yeah.
strike.
Only have 1 unstruck box.
Glad we don't have to fill them in solid.
Yeah.
Not go outside the line. I learned at my election worker training that if you spoil a ballot, you can only do it 3 times and then you're not allowed to vote.
You're
So-
allowed. Are you gonna poll watch?
I am, no, I'm actually working
Oh.
at the, I took a personal day, I thought I would go.
Very good.
See. I don't know if I have enough coffee from 6 a.m. till after 9.
I'd be really good at just standing by the machine handing out stickers.
That's what I was
Yeah.
hoping. Like,
That
one
would be-
person gets that job, but I don't
Yeah.
know if it works that way.
Pretty sure you're not gonna do that job.
I know.
After the third one, you let it.
Checking people.
Right, yeah, the tongue kind of gets a little,
You
there
know,
you go.
I had a brand new leather jacket and I went about me and I put the sticker on and I pulled it up. Just left it from me.
Oh, no.
Right there. Oh, I thought, oh, man.
At least you know where to put it
I
next
know,
to.
I know.
It's your voting jacket.
Yeah.
Well, might not be cold enough for you to wear it this year.
Well, that's true.
It's gonna
That's
be
true.
mid-60s,
Like,
so-
yeah, no kidding.
You should wear it.
What?
You should wear it.
Pamela Pepper had the most votes. Okay. Congratulations. And condolences, maybe.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Really do
I dare
appreciate
say
it.
I'm more than anyone else here am very happy that we have.
But thank you again.
Thank all of
Thank
to
you all.
All of you.
Thank
because It really was so encouraging to see such strong applicants interested in this position.
And please stay active,
Yeah.
Yes,
Please do.
yes.
Please
because there'll be
do.
an election coming up next month.
Right.
For sure.
Mhm.
Give
Stay
time to
informed,
Or-
stay active. We appreciate it very much.
With that, we've got to do a resolution. Is that right?
Yes, we do. So, but I don't need to read it correct. We just need to,
Make a motion to, appoint Pam Pepper, mayor of Indianola, beginning tomorrow morning.
okay.
Second?
Is there any discussion?
Does it have to give the end date or?
To fulfill the
Fill the,
To fulfill the
unexpired term.
Okay. Just want to make sure that.
yeah, fill the balance of the term.
Discussion? Question?
Just really quick from a procedural standpoint, looking back in 2010, what they did was they administered the oath at the meeting following the vote. So Jackie does have a form that would have to be done.
We can do that, sorry. Good.
Jackie, please call the roll.
Councilmember Hewland,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Kling,
Aye.
Schroeder,
Aye.
Marchant,
Aye.
Southall.
Aye. And do I do this or do you have to do this?
You do.
Okay.
Or no, the clerk does.
Yep.
Clerk does.
The
Clerk does,
clerk
that's
did
all.
it.
Perfect.
Andy.
I state your name.
I, Pamela Pepper,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
and the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
and that I will faithfully and impartially,
and that I will faithfully and impartially,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
discharge all the duties of mayor of the city of Indianola,
discharge all of the duties of the mayor of the city of Indianola,
Iowa,
Iowa,
as now or hereby after required by law.
as by now and hereafter required by law. Congratulations. Oh, I need to sign it. As soon as that ink is on the paper, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
For the last time.
It hasn't quite dried.
Oh, wait, one more signature. I will now entertain a motion to
Move
adjourn.
to adjourn.
Second.
Any discussion? Jackie?
Councilmember Kling,
Aye.
Schroeder,
Aye.
Marchant,
Aye.
Hewland,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Southall.
Aye.